This video will show a rapid extrication dash lift to remove a critical or deteriorating patient. The goal is to remove the patient safely and quickly with minimal cuts and maximum lift. Assure the patient is protected and cut the A-post high. This allows the post to move away from the patient. Next, drop down and cut the A-post just above the hinge. Make an additional cut as shown, only if needed, to weaken the A-post or to enlarge the purchase point. A relief cut is made to provide a hinge point for the dash lift. This relief cut should be behind the center of the axle to avoid the suspension systems. The fender was removed to show the cut location. Place spreader tips into the purchase point and lift the dash. Only lift what is needed to free the patient. Note pivot of dash at the relief cut. There is no movement of the front of the vehicle. Force the bottom of the fender away from its attachment point, exposing the remainder of the A-post. Weaken the A-post by making additional cuts. On newer vehicles, these additional cuts may be required due to high-strength materials. The relief at the front of the vehicle is performed only when necessary. Often during the crash, the front of the vehicle is forced to the ground. By making this relief, the lift is done with less resistance. The crushing of the support is shown as an option in lieu of a cut. This video will show various methods to move a dash off of a patient utilizing a ram. This first scenario is a rapid rescue extrication. The door has been forced and the cut is made high on the A-post. The base of the A-post is cut parallel to the rocker panel. The ram is placed against the base of the B-post and angled to the A-post. Cribbing is in place under the B-post at the push point and is placed under the A-post as the dash is lifted. Always watch the base and head of the ram. Place a wedge into the opening as the dash rises. The roof and door have been removed and a cut is made at the base of the A-post. The ram is placed with the head at the rocker panel and the base pushing against the A-post. Note how the V-head makes its own push point on the rocker panel. As the dash moves up, be sure to crib as you go. Place a wedge into the A-post cut to prevent the dash from dropping down. Another option to obtain a push point is to place a ram support on the rocker panel, clamping it in place with a spreader. This can be used if the distance from A-post to B-post exceeds the length of your ram. Be sure to clamp the spreader tightly. Check with your rescue tool manufacturer to determine if this procedure is recommended. This evolution is a rapid dash roll with the roof intact using the telescopic ram. The telescopic ram can be placed into a smaller initial opening and extends longer than a single stage ram. The relief cuts in the A-post have been made. Angle the ram from the A-post to the rocker panel. Remember to crib as you go. The dash should only be forced to the point the patient is free.
During this installment of our video training series, we will look at some ways to remove door hinges. We will point out some hazards to watch for when spreading and cutting hinges. In many of our techniques, you will notice that we cut door hinges. Before cutting the hinges with your cutter, contact the tool manufacturer to find out if this is recommended. By following the techniques outlined in this video, you'll be less likely to damage your rescue equipment. All Genesis cutters are designed to cut hinges. Remember to wrap the blades completely around the hinge when cutting.
Okay, now as far as hinges go, on this one we spread the top hinge. And whether we do the top hinge first or the bottom hinge first, to me is determined by the wreck. If the top hinge is wide open when I get there, then I'm going to go to the top hinge first. If the bottom hinge is open, then I'm going to go to it. All I have to do is remember what's going to happen to the door depending on which hinge I spread. If I spread this one first, I force the door down. Then when I go to the bottom hinge, I lift the door up. If I do it just the opposite happens. I've got my webbing on here with the firefighter holding it over there, so he's going to control that door for me regardless of which hinge I do first. A couple things I try to do with my spreader is I try to set it right on top of the hinge. For one thing, that takes all the weight of the spreader out of my arms. I use that as a shelf, and I do my first spread there. If I can't get on top of the hinge, then I go to the underneath side of the hinge. Last resort for me is to go into the center of the hinge. The reason for that is I've got a center pin on each side of the hinge, and a lot of times when your spreader gets in there, you get all the force of the spreader going on those two pins, and it'll want to start riding out on you, start kicking out. So that's my last option. The bolt heads, another point where we got to be careful because those are usually hardened steel, and that's a very hard place for a spreader to move. When we decide we're going to cut a hinge, which if you have the option to cut a hinge, that's great, because now I don't have any energy throwing my door away. All I do is I come in, I make my two cuts, and the door just drops to the ground. But again, I have to stay off the center pins. Very strong points. There's no reason for me to put my cutter tips right on top of those pins. I come to the center and I cut the weakest part of the hinge out. And that usually works pretty well for you. If you cut the top hinge first, I can force the door down, which exposes the bottom hinge to where I can get my cutter tips in. So you got a couple different options open to you as far as hinges go.
Thank you for watching this video presentation from American Rescue Technology.